Mr. Romano Prodi, welcome to A News. Thank you very much for this privilege.
Thank you. I am happy to be invited.
You're a man of illustrious background, one of the key figures of Italian politics, but also from 1999 to 2004 you were President of European Commission. That was the time when, if memory serves me correctly, 10 new countries joined the European Union. Some believe that some of the problems of European Union today are connected with the rapid enlargement. How do you see this issue today in 2026?
Look, first of all, it was not only the only achievement of my commission. Don't forget that we applied the euro in that time. It was decided before, but applied the euro. Then we made a project of constitution that would have really changed European policy, but has been vetoed by the French people. Going back to the enlargement, it was a very clear decision that say train of history passes only once. The countries requested to be member. We didn't export democracy. It was a request of the parliament, and there was also some sort of appeasement, well, of agreement with Russia, because clearly you cannot make the enlargement to a former member of Soviet Union without talking friendly with Russia. And I do remember that the Putin attitude was simply, I don't care about that, I care only about NATO. And my answer was, I have nothing to do with NATO. And so to give you the atmosphere of, let's say, having no problem, tell you that in the last summit between European Commission and Russia, a leading Russian journalist asked me and Putin when Russia would have been member of European Union, not if, when. And of course I told, look, Russia is too big, there will be two capitals, and so it's not possible, but we shall work together like whiskey and soda. And Putin, no, vodka caviar. No, this was the atmosphere, you know, so it was just an evolution, normal, I say, and I was clearly eager to do it because Europe, without the east part, is not Europe, you know. It's the idea, my idea Europe was a complex Europe. And I had many critics also about that, many backing, many. And then the result has been incredible, you know, because the development, the growth of the new countries has been without any precedent situation, you know. So I consider it a success. Clearly, politically, you have different behavior, not only in East Europe, but also in our basic European countries. You have many anti-European parties, you know, the plague of democracy. Clearly, because of the long Soviet, let's say, rule, problems in the formal members of Soviet Union are bigger, more alive. Take East Germany and West Germany. But I consider it a normal consequence of democracy. And clearly now, with the split that we had later in Europe, everybody tells me, okay, you did a good job, because if Poland should be in the situation of Ukraine now, Europe could be, Poland or others, you know, Europe could be in much worse condition. So I think that This was well done. And the moment, the 1st of March of May, when we in Dublin, we celebrate the enlargement, it was a great day, a great day. And now, clearly, democracy is democracy. A few months ago, I went to Poland to celebrate the entrance of Poland, and there was a clear situation of happiness. Few weeks later, they voted for the anti-European president of the Republic. Mm-hmm. But this is democracy, and I am not. I am serious now. After Brexit, no country will never get out of the European Union.
How diminished is Europe today after the departure of Britain? Decision was made in 2016 and Britain left in 2020. How diminished is Europe as a power after Britain leaving this organization, this alliance?
Well, clearly, Britain is Britain, great country. It was not only the cradle of democracy, but also a country for defense, science, democratic tradition, really, and so it was a loss. But now, step by step, there is an approach of UK again to Europe, not only military, but also in new political talks. So you understand, even for this example, how important of Europe and how, with the split of the world, it's impossible for a European country to have a role in the world without being member of the European country. The problem now is how to reinforce the unity in Europe, how to take common decision. This is the problem. But the dimension of Europe is already. Look, let us, I am an economist. Let us try to understand. U.S. GDP is $29,000 billion. European 28. If you include Norway, Switzerland, and UK, that are not part of the Union, but are in same, let's say, economic area. We are 34,000 billion euro. And so the problem is how to transform this potential strength in an effective decision-making entity.
You're an economist, of course. London is one of the world's two great financial centers, together with New York. And London is currently outside the European Union because Britain left. Did it diminish the geopolitical, economic reach of the European Union as well, you think?
Clearly, yes. But also London decreased it. The really important is the synergy. Clearly, we lost London, but London lost Europe. And so New York is let's say, the highest, by far the highest financial place in the world, with a lot of consequence. If you think, to tell you how is important Europe, every year, and important your question, every year, we send 300 billion euros of European saving to New York. Can you believe it? We could change all our economy, not having a more positive financial center.
Indeed. How do you see the role played by Italy as an EU member country? Incumbent Italian Prime Minister Meloni a few years ago, famously, while speaking in a very passionate way, said, I'm woman, I'm Italian, I'm Christian. She didn't say, I'm European. When you are Italian first, European later, does this formulation militate against your understanding of Europe and Italy?
Yeah, but this is not the statement that is against my opinions, you know, because I am not a home mother, but I am a Christian and I am Italian. But when there are the real political decisions, she is American. Let us take it this way. No, well, not 100%, but the real problem, clearly from the point of view of state in the speech, she is pro-America and pro-Europe in the same way. But when there are the real decisions that will shape the future, she has a terrible ambiguity, or even, let's say, an opinion biased in favor of US. Take the real problem, unanimity. This is the simple thing that we have in Europe. You cannot decide anything with unanimity. And it's also anti-democratic, but anyway, it's enough that one country say no. And she stated quite a few times, I don't want to abolish unanimity. But this means to weaken Europe. And so clearly she's obliged, as Italy is obliged, to cooperate with Germany, with France, with others. But please don't make a stronger Europe. Let us try to handle our interests, you know, but not make, this is the reality. This is what I call the ambiguity, because in fact, this is ambiguity. What will happen in the future? I think that a clear decision will be necessary, because the split between Europe and US now is so big that ambiguity is not easy. Take the last decision. I am just thinking to it now, you know. Europe decided to help Ukraine with, after so many discussions, with 80 billion euros in 2 years' time. Okay, 3 days ago, Trump decided to cancel the sanction on oil export to Russia. He decided the sanction, and decided to look the consequence. This is incredible. So you will have the idea still blocked by Orban, but going on, of 80 billion euros to Ukraine in 2 years. Now you have every day of the new opening to the Russian oil, experts calculate between 1 billion to 1.5 billion per day. 30 days. And so you have Europe helping Ukraine and US helping Russia. Can you perceive this? Could you never think to that 1 year ago?
Completely. It was unthinkable just 2 years ago, or a year ago even.
And so even Meloni, she has to decide, you know.
Mr. Prodi, how concerned are you about the transatlantic rupture? Quite often it is being said that Europe is economically giant, very consequential, but geopolitically not very consolidated, and not that consequential. How concerned are you about the current problems between Europe and America?
I am highly concerned because in my life I have always seen the friendship with America, the real security, the real safe harbor for Europe, And in my life, I have seen a slow but continuous change. Let us be clear, I started my political life with the Bush president and father, knowing the father and working with the son. And I was not of the same public side, but they were European, we consider as brothers. And then Clinton became European with intelligence, but then when Obama arrived, a great president, but for him, Singapore and Copenhagen were the same thing. There was not anymore this. Then the first Trump arrived to have some sort of hostility, not mild hostility, both in economy and in politics. Then Biden kept the same hostility in economics and made some sort of mediation in politics. Now, Trump considers us as enemies in both sides. And this for me is really a tragedy, because really I was born and I have grown up with this idea of being friends of US. I was teaching in the United States. I had a lot of friends there. We were, let us say, twins, not only brothers, but twins. And now you have to reconstruct everything because this progressive distance, and now enmities is, when I listen to a definition that is given to Europe, an economic giant, let's say a normal, let's say a dwarf from the political point of view, and a military worm. Well, this is not a definition that you give to your brother, If it is your brother, you help him to become your brother, similar giant in all the fields. And so from now, we are obliged to consider US at least a difficult competitor, at least.
Mr. Prodi, this conversation, this interview is taking place on the sidelines of the 13th edition of Global Baku Forum, organized by Nizami Ganjavi International Center. Just a few days ago, Mr. Antonio Costa, President of the European Council, was here in Azerbaijan. How do you see Azerbaijan-EU relations? My last question. Azerbaijan has no aspiration to join the EU, but the relations are very close and intense.
Well, personally, I have an indirect history on our relations, because when there was the project of TAP, the local politicians, they were against it, and I fight in favor for that, looking the future of my country. Where you are in need, you must deal with many of your suppliers. You cannot depend from one supplier. And so I said, look, Azerbaijan is absolutely necessary. And now you enjoy, and we enjoy, of the fact. And so I have some responsibility for the good relations that we have. And of course now the relations are improving. I know that there already a new cooperation between 5 Italian universities and the university here in Baku. And this is what we have to do. Link young people with stronger and stronger relations, not only economic. I am stressing a cultural link. If we go on and we do what we have done in the last 10 years, for the next 10 years, we become brothers.
Hopefully. And my last question, Mr. Prodi. 100 years ago, Europe was the center of the world. Paris, London, Rome, that was the heart of the world. Even the United States was peripheral to Europe. 100 years on today, Europe is facing massive, massive, massive challenges. How do you see Europe in 50 years' time? Do you think it will remain an attractive source of power, culturally, socially, economically?
Not easy to foresee the future, because we testify events that we could never think possible. But I think that step by step, in spite of the difference, there is the feeling that because of the two giants, China and US, a strong Europe, a united Europe, I don't even stress only the military aspect, but a united Europe is something that is important for us and for the world. I do remember, when we were organizing the Euro, I do remember a meeting with the Chinese president. It was 1998. It was fantastic because the Chinese president was interested only to the Euro. You know that in the bilateral meeting you have everything. And the conclusion, he told me, look, in the future we shall have in our reserves as many dollars as many euros, because if side by side with the dollar there is the euro, there will be room for the renminbi. The idea was clearly two big powers, but Europe as some sort of guarantee of the equilibrium of the world. This is the role of Europe, because our wisdom, of also our horrible history, but we have an experience now how to get out of enemies and be friends. So this is the gift that we can give to the world.
Thank you, Mr. Prodi. So grateful to you for this opportunity and for your enlightening answers. Very grateful.
Thank you so much.